Hey, welcome back. We're going to get ready to get started. The pink player here is the bot. We are the white player, and I know I talked about this a little bit in the intro, but basically the bot is going to go first, and for every era we're going to do 9 actions. 3 of those actions are placing our apprentices, which are these 3, and when we do, we get to do the action on these tiles. And this tabletop simulator is done by my friend Scott, and he does an amazing job. I highly recommend anything that he makes. This one, he put in help text. So it'll tell you what your choices are whenever you're taking your turn. I think it's amazing. Since I'm going second, I do gain an extra fish. So normally you start with 3. I get a 4th one as compensation. So 3 actions will be placing these and then doing the tile. Where do you place them? You place them in these golden squares. The golden squares are free if they're empty, or if they have people in them like this, you have to pay a certain number of fish to go to that location. There's 3 more actions where you move them from this golden square, which is the daytime, to the nighttime. So you just move them over. That's 3 more actions. And then the final 3 actions that you get to do is you could grab one of these tiles and replace them. Because as you do these actions, these tiles go away, and then you replace them, you fill these back in with 3 new ones, which will be actions you get to do the next era. The 9 actions can be done in any order. It's just that your very first action has to be placing one of these, because you can't grab a tile unless there's a room for it, and you can't move a worker from the left side to the right side if there's none actually there. So the first one is always going to be placing an apprentice. Everything else in the game, outside of those 9 actions, is triggered by what you do. So it's either triggered by these tiles, it's triggered by moving them to the right, which then does stuff here, or it's triggered by grabbing these, which then lets you do all these actions that are over here on the right. So that's the gist of the game. Sounds simple, right? So all you have to do is one of 3 actions, and very easy game. Okay, the bot, of course, I'm not very familiar with. I have never played with the bot, but we do have the bot book here, and it's very nice. Like, it tells you what the bot does, etc., etc. There are phases of the game. We should go through that real quick. You start with the flood phase, and the first thing you do is advance the round marker. This is skipped in phase 1, or era 1. So we start the game here in sowing. So sowing is where we take our 9 turns, right? And you can see here, in turn order, each players take their turns, placing apprentices, sliding them, or taking new action tablets until everyone has taken 9 turns. Then there's the harvest phase, where you advance your feather 1 step for every papyri you have. Papyri are these things. Okay, your feather advances 1 step. And then you lose 1 point for every, so it's the, and if you didn't see the setup video, your feather and your heart are far apart, and these are negative points. So if neither of these move, you're going to lose 10 points. If you move your feather this way, and your heart that way, and the closer they get together, the less points you're going to lose. Eventually they'll pass each other, and then you start gaining points. And then if you finish with your feather all the way over here and your heart all the way over there, you're going to gain 10 points. That's done during this harvest phase. And you can just see, like, all these things trigger. You flip over any fulfilled contracts and score the points. And then for your sarcophagi, you score. For your mastaba tiles, you score the highest value you've reached on the obelisk. Score the highest value you've reached on the Great Pyramid. For each of your place permissions of Khufu, score 1, multiplied by the number of times you beat the condition. And then for your place permission. So anyways, I know it seems like a lot, but we'll step through it. And then at the beginning, when this thing moves to round 2, we do all these things. So you gain your income, you retrieve your apprentices, you refill the empty city spaces, and then you adjust the turn order. Player with the least points goes first. Okay, we do start the game with 10 points because it is possible to lose points here. Alright, so the bot. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle. And all they do is they just draw a tile. And you can see there's 9 of them because there's 9 actions. This one is sliding a person over. Remember, the first action you got to do is place one. So when that happens, you got to just keep drawing until you get one, which is this one. So then you put it on the bottom. So you sort of know what their last action is going to be, but that's okay. That's part of the game. This is saying place an apprentice on a sun space containing your apprentice as top priority, and then any sun space is second priority, and then if there's a tie, the furthest scarab, then top down. Okay, they always grab from the left to the right. So this one is coming out, and what it's saying is they want this one to go where you have an apprentice. We don't have any. So then the second priority is any sun space. And if they're all tied, they want to go where there's the furthest scarab, then top down. So the furthest scarab is, so if you're looking at this, you know, which one has the scarab furthest along? Well, they're all equal. So then it's saying top down, which means to go here. That's where they would prefer to go. Now, I watched a video where somebody told me that they go here. So that's not what this is saying. So let's just settle it by looking at the... So visit a house of life. On the left board of the sun. Cannot choose a house of life where he already has an apprentice. So we always place him in different houses. If you have them there, he will place his with yours, choosing from these spaces the one with the scarab furthest ahead. If you don't, in the empty sun space. Okay, there you go. It's clarified. It's an empty sun space, starting from the top. Alright, so it's going to go here. That's the first empty space, starting from the top. Then it's going to execute this. So it's going to either do one boat movement and activate a boat, or carve a sphinx. Right? So this is an or situation. Oh, I'm sorry, they're going to do both. It's not an or. So they're going to activate a boat, do a boat movement and activate a boat, and they're going to carve a sphinx. So again, I haven't played with the bot before, so this is where I'm going to have to slow down a little bit. So here it says they perform the action of the tablet, resolving them, and if there's a slash, they always do the top one. They never do the bottom one. Alright, so we just got to deal with the actions here. So, advancing boat. Imhotep, which is the bot, advances his most advanced boat on the river first to the first city it can enter. If it enters a city and has extra steps, he advances his next most advanced boat, and so on. If a boat cannot enter a city, it advances anyways. He activates his most advanced boat that's in a city with available contracts. Okay, and then for carving a phoenix, if Imhotep has a phoenix available and must perform carve his phoenix, he then erects one instead. Okay, yeah. Alright, so pretty easy here. This is carve a phoenix, which just means take one of these and move it over. The boat thing says he wants to move his boat, the boat that's furthest ahead first. And he always wants to go into a city if he can, so he has one movement point, so he's going to go into this city. And then he always takes the leftmost contract. Like so. And we can confirm that. That's during harvest. He gains the benefit of the city and the highest value contract located furthest to the left. Right? And then the last thing is the city always, these are random things that got placed at the start of the game. So he gets to advance his limestone one space. So you can't advance these unless you have permission. So this is the limestone instead. And so one space is here. And so here you can see the hammer icon has been reached. So he's going to grab the top one of this, and he always goes clockwise order around the pyramid. So that's a heart that you see below there, and that's a feather. So you get the bonus that you cover and the bonus on the top. So she gets a heart and a feather. So feather moves up. And the heart moves up. So I think that covers her turn. Or his turn. And that was a lot, wasn't it? that's the thing with the game. It was so simple. Alright, and then he's got a cool thing. They're always supposed to go here face down, and then they get flipped over, right? So it's like first in, first out, kind of thing. But that's already done automatically by the automation here. And so that's his turn. So placed and then did the action. So now it's our turn, and we get to do a similar thing. And I have no clue what I want to do. So this one says I get to move my heart 2 steps, and I can erect a phoenix at the highest level you could with your scarab, or carve a phoenix. And carve would just be this, which I have to carve one before I can erect one. This one, I gain 2 Heka, and I can either place a sarcophagus or embalm, which I have to embalm before I can place. And then this one lets me embalm. So I think I want to do this action before this one, because that would let me place the embalm one that I do here. So I think this one for sure. This one I think I could do at any time. But I'm going to do this one first. Now, where do you place is the question. I'm going to just drop it here for now. Understand that if I go here, here, or here, I have to pay 1 fish because there's 1 person already there. These 2 are going to be free for me to do. Now, where I want to go doesn't matter right now, but later I'm going to be able to move them over to here because they're going to work there all day and all night. They're going to do the moon phase and their day phase. So during the day, they're going to do this action here. During the night, they move over, and then the scarab gets moved 1 space, and then you get the action underneath the scarab or anything before it. So this scarab is going to let us do boat actions. And then these little exclamation marks are activate the city, which, by the way, I forgot to do that. When they activated the city, the boat finishes there. That's what this little arrow is. So activating the city is gaining the contract that you see here. And then you move a boat 2 spaces. And 2 boat movement is you can move 2 boats 1 space if you like. It doesn't have to be the same boat. But the activation, of course, is just 1 boat. And then this is activate 2 different boats. And it's very important. You can never activate the same boat twice in the same action. Down here at the bottom, this scarab deals with the Sphinx. And then you can see this is like level 1 Sphinx. I mistakenly said era 1, era 2. That's not what I meant. This is level 1. And then once your scarab gets to here, you can go to the level 2 space. and then eventually you could do level 3 when your scarab gets to the end. This one has to do with moving your princesses into the temple and placing baskets. That's what these are. And you can gain gifts. You can gain a craft, which are these, and place the craft as they go in here into these various locations. This one has to do with the embalming, and these level 1s means you can go into the level 1, and then eventually you can do 2 and then 3. So it's not the era, it's how far you are on this scarab. And then this one here is moving the bricks necessary to build the pyramids. And it could be, this is the, you could gain a permission of Khufu, which then lets you advance these limestones, which are necessary for building these smaller pyramids. Now the Khufu thing is, when you get to this space, you have to spend your permission of Khufu, which are these things. So once they're here, you move along this track, you get to this one, you spend one, and it has to go into one of these open spots. There's spots that are closed because of the 2-player game. But this one here is saying score for every 2 trade contracts that you've fulfilled. So by putting one here, you're basically going to score points based on fulfilling this. This is score for every 2 papyri you have, and then this one score for every sphinx you've placed. So there's some synergies you can get going with building these smaller pyramids, and which you can see the pieces are here, and so forth. Okay, so yes, what do you want to do with your scarab would dictate where you want to place these. Now, I have no problem doing the boat action. The boat action seems like a really nice one to do early in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and put my person there for free. And then I get to do a boat action right now. So I will do exactly that. And I'm going to follow what the solo bot did. I'm going to move here and then activate, which lets me grab one of these. And that goes there. So what this is saying, I need to have one basket placed in the temple. It's doable. I can't do it with this particular action. And then I'm going to embalm, which that happens, and then that's done. That's all this is. So then I drop that in there, and I'm done with my turn. Okay, so now it's back to the bot. So we just draw another one, and what this is the bot wants to retrieve an action. And which action is it going to retrieve? Well, if you look here, the bot is looking for the snake. So if we come up here, you can see there's snakes, and it's going to grab the one that's closest to the bottom, this one. So the bot, by the way, doesn't do with food or heckas. And so the bot's going to grab that one and place it there, and that moves this up, and that scores it a point. So there you go, scored a point. Now, why did this move up? Well, because you match the symbol right here. And that's what this says. Now, what this is also saying is that when they grab the bottom one, the bot's going to grab a papyri. Which papyri are they going to grab? They always grab the cheapest one when there's no papyri already on the board. Actually, no, they don't. They look at what you have, and they're going to grab the one that you need. But that doesn't exist, so then they just grab the leftmost one. And they're going to place it right there, like so. So then we can just hit refill displays, and then everything shifts over, and this stuff shifts down. Right, so that was their turn. And almost all these things that happen are exactly what a multiplayer would do. Now, a multiplayer person, if they took this one, they would have gained a fish, and then they could choose to gain a papyri or gain a heka. It's a choice. So the bot just gained the papyri. Now I could do the same. I can go for this. My symbol's different. I have the sitting person, which there's two of them up here. I'm not in a rush. I could move this to the right, which I'm also not in a rush to do. I think I'm going to place another one out before it gets too expensive. And I'm looking at my situation, and I think, um, given that my contract is about baskets, I want to do the basket one here. So I'm going to take another one of my persons, this one, and I'm going to pay one fish to go to this location. I have to pay a fish because that neutral apprentice is there. So there I go. And then I get to do this action. So I'm going to gain 2 Heka. That's always nice. And then I can place a sarcophagus or build one. So it's my choice. I can put another one out here, or I can place this one. I'm going to place. Now I can only place based on where my scarab is, and you can see it's on era 1 or phase 1 or whatever, which are these. Now where do I want to place it? Now that's a good question. These things, these mastaba tiles, they trigger when you place your thing. So if I put one here, I get to do this and this. So there's all kinds of cash and prizes, right? Now there's also points. Now the red ink blot, if you will, the blue ink blot is you score immediately. The red is you score during the harvest phase, which is at the end of the round. So by going here, I would score 2 points and then 0 points. So the maximum points would be 3, right? 1 point for this, and then 2 points for... So either of these would be the maximum. Now, sometimes you want to place it based on, hey, I want the bonus that's written on the tile. Now this one, you just gain 3 hearts for going here. This one, you gain 2 Heka and 1 heart. So there's a little bit of there's a lot going on. Like you have different trade-offs. Okay, so what is this? This is move your orb 1 step. Just to help you out, that's moving up this here. And the first step, as you can see, is going to get you 2 points. Then eventually you start gaining Heka as income, and so forth. And then here you get to perform the action on the deity, which is it moves your hieroglyphic counter 1 step. It's Horus. Alright, so that's this one. This one, you do 1 priestess movement, but you don't get to do an offering. You just get to move it 1 space. This one, you gain 2 Heka or 1 papyri. This one, you gain a craft or 2 food. And this one, you advance your limestone 1 space, which is never a bad deal. So, I want to gain a craft because that's my contract. So I definitely want on the left side here, one of these 3 spots, because I want to trigger this one. So then it's just a matter of which of these do I want. This one is sort of nice, except I don't get to do the offering. I can do 1 priestess movement and make an offering if I do this one. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and just go here, and that gives me 2 Heka and 1 heart. Actually, now that I think about it, I want to go here and gain 3 hearts. So, see, that gives me 0 points, but yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to gain 1, 2, 3 hearts, so I just eliminated 2 negative points there. I get to move up on the orb 1 step, and that's the bigger thing, because that's going to be 2 points later on. So even though that's 2 points there, I still got my 2 points just differently. And then here, I'm going to gain a craft or 2 food, and I'm going to gain a craft. And this is where I got to pay attention. I have to pay fish for these crafts. But if I'm willing to take this one, at the bottom level, that gives me a papyri. So I'm going to gain the tile, and it's going to go here, and then this goes on top. Now if I understand the rules correctly, I think I gain this now. So I'm going to gain a papyrus. It says craft tile when offered. I think the offer is by putting that here, and I just got to check the rules. Let me pause so you're not wait. I'm not wasting your time. Okay, yeah, it's you can read it here and make an offering, or in the previous page, obtain a craft. Um, so the this gain a papyri is when I place this. So until I do that, nothing happens yet. But it had to go here. All right. So for my turn, all that happened from placing my mummy, which that was a good action. I like that one. All right. So my turn's over. So now we go. First thing we do is we shift and refill. Now takes a turn. So she's going to move over one. And basically, only has one to move. So it's this one. So this one's going to move over. And then what happens is the scarab moves one space. All right. The butt will always do this what's below it. So it's going to gain a papyri and it's going to embalm. So the embalm, easy enough. The papyri is looking for this. So if we come up here, it's going to take this one. And they have infinite fish and infinite heka, so they get to do whatever the blazes they want. And that's what they're going to do. Their turn's over. So that's what that did for them. Very nice little action. So now I got some choices. I can move to the right, or I can get my third one out. Now this one has to do with the Sphinx, so obviously this would create the Sphinx, but then it would be nice to do an action that lets me... So that lets me carve a Sphinx, and this lets me... That does let me gain crafts, which is also nice. Or I can place. Remember, because you can always do a previous one. I think I will go here. Or am I going to go here? Let me look at the contracts here. This one's have 2 crafts. So I'm going to go here. That one's free for me to do anyways. So I'm just going to take the 3 bottom ones. I'm going to do all my actions here first. So this one lets me move my heart 2 steps. So 2 more moves with the heart. I'm already got rid of another negative point. That was excellent. And then I have to carve a Sphinx, is what that's called. And then my turn is over. So obviously all 3 of my apprentices are out. So now I have no choice but to move to the right or start taking these. Okay, gonna try to take an action. Can't do it. So this goes to the bottom. So gonna place an apprentice. So this wants to go where I am. So it's gonna go right here. And that means that I probably want to get this one moved over first because it's free before they get over there and make me have to pay. So they do that, and then they're going to do their action here, which is when it's an either, they always do the top one. So they're going to embalm, which for sure is this one. And then they are going to do a priestess movement. Now, I actually don't remember what they do for priestess movement. Priestess movement's pretty simple in the beginning. It's literally, see, that costs 1 movement, so they're going to just move into there. I'm pretty sure That's all they have to do. One or more rooms. He will advance his next most, and so on. Yeah. Okay. So that is done. And before I forget, I gotta toss this. All right. Very, very cool. All right. Now it's to us. And yes, because they went here, that's pressuring me to do this first because I don't want to have to pay the fish to move here. Yes, you have to pay fish to go either way. You might be wondering, what if you can't afford the fish and it's the only move you have left or whatever? Then what ends up happening is you still move there, you don't get to do the action, and instead you gain 3 fish. So you're just gaining fish and nothing else. You don't get to do the action. That's true even with these chips here. If you're placing one of these, you don't get to do the action on a chip. You just gain 3 fish. It's a try not to do that. Gaining 3 fish that way is probably not the best idea in the world. All right. So I move this over, and then yes, that just moves the scarab 1 space, and then here it says in either order, I can do 1 priestess movement and make an offering. So I will do exactly that. 1 priestess movement moves me in, and then I'm going to make an offering, which is. Oh, I was going the right way. I grab this basket, and I get to place it somewhere. So I get to place it here, which gives me 2 feathers. Here gives me 1 feather and 1 orb. This is 1 fish and 1 orb, right? Or that's 1 heka and an orb, 1 heart, 2 hearts. So which do I prefer? I'm going to do the 1 feather, 1 orb. So I will move up 1 more on the orb. And then I will finally get on the board with the feather. So I just lost another negative point, which I really like. Okay, so I placed that basket. I got that bonus. But I also get, because this is in the lowest level, 1, I gain a papyrus. So this is free, and these cost heka. And you can see I have a scarab here. There's the other scarab there, which actually works out pretty nice for me. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, anytime I've seen people play online, they always put it here because it's free. But you could pay 1 heka and put it here, and now you have the opportunity to fill a picture on this side and another picture on that side. So by putting it here, you're only giving yourself 1 picture to fulfill, which could be limiting. But in my case, I'm going to put it here because I don't want to spend the heka, which is the same reason everybody else does it too. But I just wanted to make sure you understood that you could spend the heka and give yourself more options. And there might be a strategic reason, especially if you're trying to play a heavy papyrus game, that you want to do that. So anyways, I'm going to go here. That's fine. And my turn's over. Go back to her. She wants to move over. And I am really glad I did that because guess who is moving over? This one. And then this will advance. And she's going to do priestess movement and make an offering. And advance the most priestess. Rolls the die to place the basket in the room. Only does an offering after advancing all priestesses. Okay, so here's the problem. He doesn't have an offering. He has to get a gift first, and he doesn't have one. So that's what this one would have done. Do 1 priestess movement and make an offering. So she would just go like that, and that's it. There's no offering she can give. That was a little cheesy. Alright, so now I'm looking at my situation. I need like the person kneeling. These 2 are what I need, but I'm going to have to spend 2 and 3 fish. So I'm sort of waiting for the bot to decide what to do here. So I think what I'm going to do instead So I'm going to move this one up. And that lets me gain a craft and carve another sphinx. And it's carve, it's not erect, so that means I've just got another one out, which is fine. And I'm not sure I have a preference. Like this one would let me move my boat. This one would give me points. This gives me heckas, but I have to spend fish. I think I would like this one maybe over the hearts, although the hearts is pretty cool. But I'm going to go ahead and do this one, which has to go here. And that does cost me one fish to do. And I can refill displays. You don't do that until your turn's over, by the way. So you don't get to peek at what's coming, if you're wondering. So again, a craft, I carved, yeah, that's it. That's my turn. Alright, just going to try to grab an action. And let's make sure, because like, I think she always wants to, or he, I'm so used to playing the other game that had a she. The cheapest abbot whose I advances his counter. Because sometimes they'll grab, he'll choose the cheapest one that advances your counter. But that's only if there's not one that advances his. So his next one is the duck. And the duck is right here at the bottom. So perfect, perfect. Does that. This moves up. And this is going to advance the scarab one step. But you do not get to perform the action. So I'm pretty sure his scarab, which is furthest behind, starting from the top. And that would be the top one. So that one moves up one. Like that. And this, by the way, would have moved to here. They never, if you activate them in the city, they never stay in the city. Alright, so he took the bottom one, which lets him grab another papyri. And so we got the circle here. And there is no circle match. So then he's going to take the one that I want, because he's a jerk that way. And do that. Alright, now it's to me. So my person got a little cheaper for me. But I'm going to go ahead and do, well, let me think about this. So you get to do a boat action here. I'm going to do this anyways. So I'm going to move the scarab up. So I can either move one boat and do two different actions, or I can do two boat movement and activate one. And here's my dilemma. So I can move my boat here, but this is the only one I can activate. There's no action for these boats back here. So the two different actions doesn't help me. This one lets me move boat 2 spaces and then activate. So I can move 1 as long as I don't end my movement there, and I can go 2 to here. And I forgot, when I did this, I get to advance my limestone. So that means I get to grab this one, which is a heart. I can choose either one. I'm going to choose the fish or the heka. I would choose the fish. The fish and the heart. Now, why did I get to do that? Because a long time ago, when I did this contract, I get that bonus. Because that's what's going to happen here, is I'm going to do this contract here. Although 3 feathers, I'm not quite there yet. So space number 3 would be right here. I'm going to take this one, because this says I need to have 2 crafts, which I have. I have 2 crafts right here. And this one, by the way, flips. when I'm done. Okay, so I do that, and then I get this bonus here, which is I gain a papyrus. So I wanted the scarab. This one costs 2 hecka. I will spend the 2 hecka for the heck of it, and put this one here, which costs me another hecka. So now I'm suddenly short on hecka, but I do get my picture. I don't know if that was worth it, but I did it anyways. So meh. And then I'm going to refill display. And so what did I do? I moved my boat 2 spaces and I activated 1. So now I'm here. Now it would have been nice. Now I would like to activate 2 boats because I can get 2 fish and 2 fish. Because any boat that's out here gains me fish, which I need that as well. I am low on heckas too. So I'm low on a lot of stuff at the moment, but that's what happens when you're doing all these actions. So now it's his turn. He's going to place his last one. And again, he wants to go where I am. I'm nowhere. So then he goes in the topmost one that he's not at, which is this one. And I want to make sure I got that right. On the sun side of a house life, and then performs the actions of tablet associated with that. Cannot choose the house of life where he already has apprentice, whether it's on the sun or the moon side. So there we go. It always has to be in 3 different houses. So yes, first empty space that he's not at and nobody else is at. So that would be this one. Done. And then for the action itself, he's going to carve a sphinx and advance the limestone twice. So 1, 2. Lets him build another one. So this is a hecka and a hecka, which since the AI doesn't have hecka or fish, this does nothing for him. It just prevents me from getting it, I guess. And then that's it. AI is done. Alright, so now it's my turn. And like I said, you did not have to place all 3, move all 3, and then do this last. That's how it worked for me. So I want these. This one's going to cost me a fish. I'm going to take this one, spend my fish, and then that moves me up 1, and I score a point for that. Now, you should pay attention to the action, because that does give me 3 boat movement and 1 activation, which I don't mind, because I've been doing boat stuff. And see, this here lets me activate a boat. I can advance the limestone once, or I can do 2 priestess movement with no offering, or I can do anything below it. I can do a boat movement, or a priestess movement with no offering, or gain another papyri, or gain a hecka. So I want to do the boat or this. And I think I'm going to choose the boat instead. And it's activate a boat. It's not move a boat. And yes, I want to activate this boat and gain 2 fish. Like so. Alright. It's going to move 1 over. Boom. Move 1 boat, activate twice. Always moves the advanced boat. Can only activate once, so 2 fish doesn't gain or anything. So that's it. Now it's to me. I got nothing but these actions left. My next symbol that I need is, looks like 2 daggers. Or knives or whatever, which are way up here. So I can't grab that one, by the way. So I'm going to just have to grab something else. And so I just want to grab something that I gotta be careful. A papyri would be nice, right? I can do this and get another picture, but I need 2. 2 hecka. I only have 1. So I can't even spend the 2 hecka, and I need another hecka for this. I could take that one for free, but I need 2 hecka here. So, I do like this action. I like this one too. This one gains me a fish, Whereas this one, I just don't gain anything, but it doesn't cost me anything either. So I could gain a craft and advance the limestone twice. I'm going to go ahead and do that. That would let me move a boat, or I can do the gain a Heka action, which would then let me gain a papyri later. So, or if I gain a fish, then I can spend a 3 fish to do this. I mean, it's not. You don't have to advance this, but I think it would be nice. The moving the scarab thing, the reason you want to do that is you want to get to the point where you can go into the level 2 or the level 3 on certain actions. So, the papyri thing, in order for me to do what I want to do, which this one's free, I could go here, which costs 2 Heka. I need 1 Heka. So, I would have to take this tile or this tile and then gain the Heka and not do this. The other thing I want to do is I do want to move my boat 1 more space, because if I do, I gain a fish for income. But then I'm missing out on contracts, right? 1 more space, I could do that. Now, if you don't activate, you do stay in the town. In my case, I activated. So which do I prefer? I think between these two, the placing the sarcophagus is really nice. But I'm going to do this one. And I'm going to gain a Heka. Set myself up for doing the other one. Alright. Then for his last turn, he's going to grab one. And he's looking for the 2 knives. So the same thing we were looking for. And he's going to snatch it up. This moves up. Scores a point. And then it was at the very top. So it's going to do 2 priestess movement. And I think that means with... Yeah, gets to do an offering. But he doesn't have any gifts yet. So all he's doing is moving up. So now this costs 2 movement points. So it only moves 1 space for doing that. So no gifts yet. So can't do an offering. All right. So my dream to have the 2 knives was foiled. So now it's just a matter of, okay, which action do I want? This one would cost me a fish, and I don't see... If I want to just do the papyrus action, I'm actually going to just take the bottom one, which gains me a fish. And then, yes, I'm going to spend the 2 Heka. I know that's a lot, but I'm going to do this action, and that was free, but then 2 Heka to place there, and I now have 2 photos, so I think I did a really good job with that. Let's see if that was worth it. Okay, 9 actions are complete, both sides. We just finished the first thing. So now we go to the harvest phase. So it says, advance your feather 1 step for each papyri you obtain this round, and 1 step more for each completed drawing. And this is for both of us. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 because of the completed drawing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very happy with that. That was nice. Next thing we do is we lose 1 point for every barrier between our heart and our feathers. So I'm white, so I lose 1, 2, 3, 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4 points. He's pink, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. That was very satisfying. Okay, and then we flip over any fulfilled contracts. Now, the bot always fulfills, and so he's going to score 1 point for that. And this is for the rest of the game. So next era, this is going to get scored along with any other ones he has. Now, in my case, I have them fulfilled. So this one required me to have a basket placed in a temple, which is right there. So I fulfilled that one. And this one required me to have 2 crafts, which I do. And it says flipped or unflipped. So there. So I just gained 2 points. Like so. Okay, so that was that one. Then we move here. For each of your sarcophagi, score the points in the 2 mastaba tiles. So that's this thing. So that's 0 points. This is 1 point. So I gain 1. And then score the highest value you've reached on the obelisk. So this is 2 points. Then the highest value you've reached on the Great Pyramid track. So that would be this. So that's 1 point for him. 0 for me. And then for each of your permissions of Khufu, which neither of us had. And that would be, these things. So it's the number, score 1 point multiplied by the number of times you meet the condition in the tile. So I would get 1 point for every sphinx I've placed. And if I have 2 of them here, because you could put both of them here, I would have 2 points for every sphinx. So it multiplies, like it says. Okay, so that's the end, and then we go to the flood phase. Now, there is this end of era thing. It says perform all phase 3 for the current era and all phase 1 for the next. Do not do any steps manually or the script won't work. You may flip... I don't want to do that. I actually think it's more fun to go through the steps, especially when you're learning the game, right? So now we're going to do the flood phase. So the first thing you do is you advance the round marker. So that moves up. Next thing you do is you gain your income of flood from your boats, of food from your boats, and heka from your obelisk. So I gain 1 heka, which I needed, and I don't gain any food. My boats weren't far enough down the river. Okay, next. Retrieve your appendices from the board. Move the neutral appendices. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It was a good idea. Alright, so these obviously go back. And then what it was trying to explain is that this moves down 1. Like that. So the apprentice, they just moved down 1 from wherever they were at. Very simple logic. Okay, and then we go here and we refill. So this is the part where, yeah, here we go. So all the empty spaces now get Era 2 contracts. So there's 2 of them that goes there, and 1 of them that goes there. Now at the start of the game, Era 2 contracts were here, and Era 3 ones were here. But any empty ones, they'll get level 2, and then at the next era, any empty ones would get Era 3. So that is done. And then adjust turn order. The player with the least points goes first. And I have 12. He has 8, so he still goes first. Yeah, it's that simple. Let's keep rocking. Let's see, we're at 55 minutes. I'll go ahead and stop here, and then I'll continue. Thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.